Hi, everyone, and welcome. I'm Joe Carnevale, Vice Principal at Antelope Valley High School in the Antelope Valley Union High School District. This presentation, Addressing the Achievement and Behavior Gap, focuses on the real challenges we face every day, helping students, especially in our SDCB programs, grow both academically and behaviorally. My goal as a leader is to build a school culture rooted in structure, compassion, and accountability, where every student feels supported and capable of success. In this presentation, I'll share the key issues, what's driving them, and the strategies we're putting in place to make lasting change. We'll also look at how staff, families, and the community can work together to help students thrive in school and beyond. Thanks for joining me. Let's get started. In this presentation, I'll be bringing everything together: the key projects, coursework, and real-world experiences that shaped my growth as an educational leader. Each piece connects to the work we're doing at Antelope Valley High School to close both achievement and behavior gaps among students. The goal is simple: to show how intentional planning, collaboration, and reflection can turn challenges into opportunities and help create stronger outcomes for all students. In this section, I'll focus on three key parts that define effective educational leadership: core theories, practical learning, and policy reflection. Core leadership theories provide the foundation. Ideas like transformational leadership, leader-member exchange, and Kaus's and Posner's five practices, which guide how leaders inspire, empower, and model the way. Practical learning experiences are where theory meets reality. For me, that's been through classroom observations, staff development, and real decision-making as a vice principal working with teachers, parents, and students. And finally, policy analysis and reflection connect our daily work to the larger educational system. Understanding how laws like IDEA and ESSA shape what we can do, and finding ways to apply them in ways that best serve students. Together, these three parts shape how I lead, learn, and help others grow. In this section, I'll talk about three key ways I've applied what I've learned in real educational settings: case studies in action, role-playing exercises, and mentorship programs. Case studies in action are about learning from real challenges and successes on campus. For example, I applied this approach while leading the Behavior Advantage rollout in our SDCB program, turning a conflict among teachers into a collaborative problem-solving opportunity that strengthened trust and consistency. Role-playing exercises help prepare staff for difficult conversations and high-stakes moments. I've used this technique when training paraeducators and teachers on de-escalation and student discipline, practicing how to handle real-world behavior scenarios before they happen. And mentorship programs have been one of the most rewarding parts of my leadership journey. I've mentored new special education teachers, guided them through IEP compliance, and modeled how to connect with families and support staff with empathy and accountability. Together, these practical applications show how theory, preparation, and mentorship build confidence and ultimately create stronger, more resilient school communities. Policy reflection isn't just an academic exercise. It's essential for doing what's right for students. At Antelope Valley High School and in my previous schools, I've seen firsthand what happens when we don't reflect on policy. Laws like IDEA and ESSA were created to protect students and ensure equal access, but when applied rigidly, they can sometimes do more harm than good. For example, under IDEA, students with IEPs can stay in high school until the age of 22. While this is meant to support students with significant disabilities, I've seen cases where students with mild learning disabilities exploit the system, failing on purpose or engaging in disruptive behavior, simply because they know they can't easily be transferred or exited. This not only prevents them from receiving the targeted help they truly need, but it also creates unsafe and chaotic environments for staff and peers. These experiences have taught me that policies aren't one size fits all. True educational leadership requires reflection, asking, is this policy helping this child grow, or is it just checking a compliance box? When we take time to reflect and adapt within the law's intent, we make better decisions that honor both the student's rights and the learning environment as a whole. At AVHS, that mindset helps us balance structure with empathy and turn policy into a tool for progress, not a barrier to it. Over the years, I've gained a deep understanding of the SDCB achievement gap, and I've seen how well-intended laws and programs can sometimes hold students back rather than help them grow. Many intervention systems are designed to target underperforming groups, but too often they do so by focusing on deficits instead of potential. In my experience, this mindset, labeling students rather than empowering them, has created a culture of dependency. Students get categorized by their challenges, and we pour resources into fixing what's wrong instead of nurturing what's right. When we only focus on remediation, we miss opportunities to build confidence, motivation, and pride. I've seen students with immense talent in athletics, the arts, and leadership lose their spark because the system taught them to expect support instead of earn success. At the same time, our high-achieving students, the 4.0 GPA scholars, multi-sport athletes, and student leaders often receive less attention because they're doing fine. But celebrating their success publicly sets a model for others to strive toward. Recognizing excellence isn't favoritism. It's leadership development. My philosophy, shaped through years of teaching, coaching, and administration, is to help students see that accountability is the pathway to independence. Just as I tell my athletes, the goal isn't for high school to be the highlight of your life. It's to use these experiences to build the life you want. When we stop coddling and start coaching, when we teach students to advocate for themselves instead of relying on exceptions, that's when real growth happens. Unfortunately, too many laws still reinforce comfort over challenge and entitlement over empowerment. My mission as a leader is to reverse that mindset, to help students see that discipline, ownership, and effort are the true keys to success. When I think about the behavior gap, I often compare it to my years as a football coach. On the field, behavior isn't just about following rules. It's about discipline, accountability, and teamwork. The players who buy into that mindset succeed not because they're the most talented, but because they understand effort and respect. The same principle applies in education. Behavior directly impacts achievement. A student's mindset, choices, and ability to manage emotions are often the biggest predictors of their long-term success. Over time, I've seen both sides of the coin. When strategies for addressing the behavior gap are done right, with consistency, compassion, and clear expectations, students grow. They begin to connect effort to results, they take pride in doing what's right, and they learn to lead themselves. But when those same strategies are implemented poorly, inconsistently, or with excuses made for certain students, the result is chaos. Students lose respect for authority, staff burn out, and the culture becomes reactive instead of proactive. As a vice principal, I've made it my mission to balance understanding with accountability. Understanding the reasons behind a student's behavior, trauma, family instability, peer pressure, helps me respond with empathy. But empathy without structure doesn't change outcomes. My job is to create systems that teach students how to make better choices, not just avoid consequences. Ultimately, closing the behavior gap isn't about punishment, it's about preparing students for adulthood. Whether on the field or in the classroom, discipline builds confidence, and confidence builds achievement. My future success as a leader depends on maintaining that balance, using compassion to connect and consistency to correct. When those two work together, behavior becomes not a barrier, but a foundation for success. My strategic plan for improvement at Antelope Valley High School centers around three key goals: enhancing academic performance, fostering a supportive behavioral environment, and establishing strong community partnerships. These goals are all tied to my belief that education is not just the work of a school. It's a shared mission between staff, families, and the community. The first goal, enhancing academic performance, focuses on helping students take ownership of their learning. True achievement goes beyond grades. It's about engagement, relevance, and self-belief. That's why I work closely with parents and guardians, reminding them that it takes a village to raise a child. Before any disciplinary action is taken, I involve families in conversations. When parents understand we're partners, not enforcers, we can redirect behavior and strengthen accountability together. The second goal, fostering a supportive behavioral environment, builds upon that partnership. Through social-emotional learning and extracurricular programs like football, band, cheer, and BSU, I create opportunities for students to connect, express themselves, and feel valued. These programs teach discipline, teamwork, and pride, qualities that naturally reduce conflict and promote character. When students feel they belong, they rise to meet expectations rather than resist them. The third goal, establishing community partnerships, brings everything full circle. When our community shows up, attending games, supporting events, sponsoring programs, they're investing in more than activities. They're investing in hope. These moments of celebration show students that their efforts matter and that the community believes in their potential. And when we bring all of this together, academics, behavior, and community, we see the biggest impact within our SDCB program. Students who once struggled now see real success. They begin setting goals and envisioning their futures. Seeing their peers succeed makes them believe they can too. This transformation, from self-doubt to self-belief, is what drives me as a leader. It's how we close the gap, not just in achievement, but in hope and opportunity. When it comes to creating real, lasting change in schools, implementation is everything. My approach to implementation focuses on three key strategies: professional development, collaborative practices, and community engagement. These three pillars form the foundation for sustainable school improvement and meaningful student success. The first strategy, professional development, goes beyond one-time trainings. It's about building capacity and confidence in our educators. At Antelope Valley High School, I've worked to make our PD days purposeful and connected to our goals. Using district tools like DigiCoach and Professional Practice Goals, PPG, we structure PD sessions around real classroom data and teacher reflections. This approach allows teachers to identify their growth areas, receive targeted feedback, and immediately apply what they learn. It transforms PD from a checkbox activity into a true cycle of improvement. The second strategy, collaborative practices, is about uniting educators under a shared mission. In our school, we've learned that leadership is most effective when everyone's voice is valued. Through PLCs and peer collaboration, we create opportunities for teachers, paras, and staff to discuss student progress, share ideas, and align their practices. It's about collective responsibility, everyone contributing to the culture of growth. This collaboration builds trust, improves instruction, and strengthens morale, especially when challenges arise. The third strategy, community engagement, connects what happens inside the classroom to the world outside of it. I've always believed that when the community feels connected to the school, students feel supported. My background in athletics, community partnerships, and school events has taught me the power of involvement. From local businesses sponsoring athletic programs to families volunteering at events, these partnerships show our students that the community believes in them. Together, these implementation strategies, professional development, collaboration, and engagement, ensure that our staff and community grow alongside our students. When teachers feel supported, when teams work together, and when the community invests in our kids, schools become more than just places of learning. They become hubs of transformation. When it comes to improvement, you can't manage what you don't measure. That's why metrics and evaluation are at the core of my leadership approach. Measuring success isn't just about data, it's about understanding what the numbers mean, how they connect to behavior, and how we use that information to help students and staff grow. In my experience at Antelope Valley High School, effective evaluation starts with having the right metrics in place. For academics, that means tracking student performance across grades, assessments, and attendance, but also looking deeper at engagement and growth over time. For behavior, it means consistent behavioral assessments, tracking referrals, suspensions, and interventions to identify patterns rather than isolated incidents. When we know why behaviors happen, we can create better systems of support instead of just reacting to problems. One example comes from our SDCB program, where I implemented structured behavior tracking through tools like Behavior Advantage. We focused on rewarding positive behavior while recording challenges consistently. This data gave us clear trends, showing which students were responding to interventions and which needed additional support. It turned discipline from a punitive process into an opportunity for coaching and growth. Equally important is feedback, for students and for staff. I've used platforms like DigiCoach not just to observe, but to start real conversations about progress. When teachers see data tied to their instructional goals, it motivates growth rather than criticism. The same goes for students. When we share progress data in a supportive way, they start to own their success. Ultimately, measuring success is about reflection and improvement. Metrics give us direction, Behavioral data shows us trends, and feedback fuels the growth that transforms classrooms. My goal as a vice principal is to keep that cycle alive, evaluate, reflect, and refine, so our school doesn't just improve year by year, but continues building a culture of accountability and excellence for everyone. As we close, I want to leave you with one core truth I've learned throughout my journey as a vice principal, educator, and coach. No meaningful progress happens alone. Closing the achievement and behavior gaps takes collective action, where every teacher, staff member, parent, and student plays a part in building something better. At Antelope Valley High School, I've seen how collaboration transforms challenges into opportunities. By aligning academics with behavior expectations, building trust with families, and using data to guide interventions, we've created a system where everyone contributes to student success. It's not about blame or quick fixes. It's about working together, reflecting honestly, and staying consistent in our shared mission. My experience has shown me that when schools operate as a unified team, when educators support one another, families feel valued, and students understand they are part of a community, the results are powerful. We begin to see growth not just in grades or conduct, but in confidence, resilience, and pride. So as I move forward in my role, my commitment remains the same: to lead with compassion, consistency, and purpose. To continue empowering others to see that accountability and empathy are not opposites, they are partners in progress. And to ensure that every student, regardless of their challenges, has the opportunity to rise. Together, through collective action, we don't just close gaps. We build bridges to a stronger, more equitable future for all.